Today, we're going to be on Lesson 20, page 142 in our math book. So make sure you are with me in your math book. If you need to pause the video, you can. Alright, so we're not going to use the number line, but we're going to add fractions with unlike denominators. So notice it has 2 and a 4. We have to make sure the denominators are the same when we are adding. So, if we look at the next problem, we have 1/2 plus 4/10. We cannot just add 1/2 plus 4/10, but we can take 1/2 and times it by any number that would get it to 10. We know it times by 5 gets 2 to 10. So if I take 1 times 5 is 5 and 2 times 5 is 10. So now 1/2 is the same as 5/10. Now I can add the 4/10, which equals 5 plus 4 is 9/10. 9/10 would be my answer. Alright, so let's look at C. I have 6/10 and 1/2. I cannot just add them together, so I'm going to have to change that 1/2 to make it into tenths. So I take 1/2, I times it by a number that's going to get me to tenths. So 5 times 2 is 10, so the top would be 1 times 5, which is 5. So my 1/2 is now 5/10. So I can take 5/10 and I can add 6/10 to it, which equals 11/10. Now 11/10 is improper, so we're going to have to break it apart to make it mixed. So I know that I could get a whole by saying 10/10, and I would have 1/10 left over. So my mixed number would be 1/110, and that's my answer. Next, I have 2/3 and 3/6. Because the 3 and the 6 are not the same, I'm going to have to take one of my fractions to change to make it into the other. So I can take 2/3 and I can times it by something to equal 6. So if I times 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. I have 4/6. Now I can take 4/6 and I can add it to the 3/6 and I get 7/6. 7/6 is improper, so I'm going to have to make it to a mixed number. So I can make 6/6 as one whole, and I would have 1/6 left over, so my mixed number would be 1/1/6. Okay, looking at the next one. I have 3/4 and 6/8. I cannot add them together, so I take 3/4, times it by something to get 8. If I times it by 2, then I can get 8. So 3 times 2 is 6. I have 6/8. So 3/4 is now 6/8. I can add the other 6/8. 6 plus 6 is 12, so I have 12/8. But it's improper, so I have to change it to a mixed number. So I can make 8/8 as my whole, and how much do I have left? Well, I would have 4/8 left. So my whole would be, or my mixed number would be 1/4/8. Four eighths also would equal 1/2. So I could also say 1 1/2. Either of those numbers would work. let's look at this next one. We have 2/3 plus 4/6. We can't do adding it together, so we have to multiply to get 6. So if I multiply by 2, then I get 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now 2/3 is 4/6. And I can add the other 4/6 to that number, and that gives me 8/6. Now, because it's improper, I'm going to have to change it to a mixed number. So I can make a whole by saying 6/6. And that leaves me how much left to get to 8? I would have 2/6. So my answer would be 1 whole and 2/6. Make sure you are working on lesson 20 in your Zearn, watching the video, and working through your notebook. If you do not finish Zearn today in class, you should be working on it at home.